for the last half hour or so, I've been taking a walk around the park, and that's been really nice. And I've also been listening to this podcast that's by Speak Life, this guy named Glenn Scrivener, and he interviews a Christian named Lee Fernie, and who is this victim of abuse from a pastor in a church, and a very famous pastor in this very famous church. I really just got back from my walk, and this is really just my first impression of that. I tell you, I almost wanted to do this as a live stream, except that I thought it would be too troublesome. So I already have my camera set up, and instead of doing the daily Bible reading show, I'm going to do this instead. I'm just going to give you this reaction that's just so raw in my heart and my mind to what I've been listening to in terms of this abuse that's happening. Well, here's the thing, in a church that's a lot like the one that I go to, by leaders, and please don't take this the wrong way, by leaders who are a lot like me and who are a lot like the pastors in my church as well, who are respected for their Bible teaching, respected for their gifts. And I think because of that, such leaders, and I include myself in that, some of you don't think of me that way, but because of these gifts, because of these responsibilities, you're given like a free pass in terms of your behavior. And I'm talking about controlling and abusive behavior. Now, the reason I mention that is because this issue has been in the limelight this week because of the sexual nature of the abuse. And that's made people go, oh wow, this is so bad and so horrible. And you know what? It is. Here's a pastor. He used his position, his platform, his privilege to take advantage of his own church staff workers, his own church members. I think there were like 27 who came forward. This individual was the only person who waived his anonymity to say that this happened to me. He gave his details, his name, and he talked about what happened to him personally. But there are 27 in this report that came out this week. And the thing is, that's just the tip of the iceberg. There are actually many more than 27. But again, it's because it involved physical abuse and sexual abuse in some cases that sometimes we don't see that there is a bigger picture to this. There is this kind of, he used the word grooming, of manipulation and of controlling that can happen. Yeah. And I'll tell you why I'm doing this. I've been talking to a friend, and it's been a really, really good friend actually to talk to and to bounce my thoughts off. And what I said to him just before turning on the camera was, I wonder if I were in that situation, what would I do differently? If I saw this happening, would I say something? Would I excuse it? What would I do differently? Because this was something that had been carrying on for the last 20, 30 years. It's a really long time, and this individual was responsible for a lot of good, a lot of structures that now train pastors and plant churches and inspire people to go into biblical ministry. Would I do anything different? If I saw all this good that was being done, would I say anything? And then what I said, maybe I should apply that to me right now. Would I regret not saying anything? Part of me is going, maybe I should give some time. But would I think I would be even more horrified if I didn't at least say something and do something right now, whether it's making this video or maybe even writing an email or speaking personally to my own pastor, because I don't see that happening. Do you? Am I missing something? Am I missing something? The fact that this kind of report had to come out in the national news after having been brought through the proper channels, for the last 20 years and been ignored. And you can hear so much grace in this person's voice, this victim's voice, but also some frustration is that there's just no one else who's even willing to lend an ear to listen and to understand and to take this in. And because it happened so long ago, I bet you a lot of my friends who are watching this, if you know me, you're wondering, you're watching this going, what's this guy talking about? Who's this guy? We have no idea who he is. And that's the thing. A year from now, no one's going to talk about this anymore. And it might be swept under the carpet. And if at all you are who I think you are, who you're watching this, and you intentionally avoid my videos, you don't, because you think you'll get in trouble watching this, this is the one to maybe pay a bit of attention to. And you don't have to watch this entirety, but go to this podcast, go to this video and listen for yourself. For one thing, I think you'll be struck just how gracious and just how gospel-centered this person is. He isn't putting himself forward as a way of therapy. He's not asking for pity, but he's appealing to brothers and sisters to see that this is a shared condition, this is a shared situation in my church and in your church and maybe even in myself and maybe in my pastor. It's just so real. It's just so real. What do I mean by that? The fact that there can be this hierarchy, and it results in this distance. Why is there this hierarchy? And it's not talking about hierarchy as in the pastor is the boss and you can never meet this person. This particular individual that has been responsible for these acts, was charismatic. He was accessible in a sense that he actually promoted ministry amongst many individuals. And it was because of that closeness that he was able to do those things. I'm sorry, I'm not talking about hierarchy in terms of, status, but hierarchy in terms of, again, that excusing of behavior simply because we elevate certain gifts and therefore we use that as an excuse not to entertain any, I don't want to use the word even accusation, but entertain any kind of access into other areas of life. I'll put it that way. It's just all you are is just this voice, this speaker, this person who stands in front on Sundays. And everything else, that's none of your business. And honestly, what do you know about your pastor compared to, say, even me, whom you only see on like YouTube and stuff? I wonder if you know a lot more about me, and I could be putting on an act. I could edit this video in such a way that it could look a certain way that I want you to see these things. But is that any different from the way in which your own leaders and your own pastors in your own churches? Do they allow you access into other areas of their life? And I'll just say that no, I don't think that's the case. I think in most instances, that's none of your business is kind of the response. And as a church member who is trying to be obedient and is trying to fit in to the culture, most of us, I wonder if we are telling ourselves that it's none of my business. That we shouldn't be talking about, we shouldn't be questioning, we shouldn't be bringing this up. Who are you, Calvin? Why are you bringing it? Why are you stirring the pot? I guess I'm saying I'm stirring the pot because I don't want to look back on myself 20 years from now and say, why didn't you say something? I think this is a problem in my church. Now I'm embarrassed enough to not mention it on this YouTube, but it's obvious which church I'm talking about. that there are layers, there are less circles in which you operate in, and oftentimes if you're outside of the circle, and again there are many circles, you get ignored and you get dismissed and you get looked down on. And I say this because I think from experience, I think I'm outside of that circle. At least even in my own conversations with some other brothers and sisters in this church, we feel as if we are outside of this circle. And I'll just say it's part of it. I think has to do with familiarity. I've just been here for so long. Part of it has to do with the way that I look, the way that I sound. Part of it has to do with the fact that I make all these videos, and it's just not kosher. It's just not what you do. Yeah. And one of the reasons I do this, despite the fact that I feel uncomfortable, I do. I do get those double entendres, those things. You think I don't hear those whispers? I do. They do get to me, and I do stay up at night sometimes thinking about them. I do hear them. But part of the reasons why I still do this is because most of the people who are like me, who feel like me, who think like me, don't dare say anything. They don't. Now I'm assuming if you're watching this and you're who I think you are, I'm hoping that this is a surprise that you're going, I wish I knew. Because I'll tell you, I've been in conversation with other people who think that I shouldn't be giving you the benefit of the doubt, and I want to do that. I want to think that you don't know that this is the situation. You don't know that this is the culture that's been created. You don't realize that it's gotten to this stage and it is actually happening here. And I hope that as a response, before even doing anything, you will do three things. You will listen, you will understand, and you will personally ask me or ask someone close to you, is this true? Yeah. Yeah.